Um, I'm sure a good many of you are probably familiar with Thermochold in the game world, and I think you will find a lot of similarities for how they built this up. So it's kind of like a Granok themed plot, which is on the slight unusual side. It's not like it's the only one we've ever come across, but it's not typically one of the more popular. I think Orin is generally the main one, and then probably Draken and Chua up next. Um, Part of that is there's just not a lot of decor that fits some of the other races, but we'll see how this turns out. So I don't know what this sign here is meant to represent, if that's the number 11 or it's just to indicate that it's exile oriented or what. But right off the bat, we come across some nice custom uh, motorbikes, hover bikes, however you want to call them. This one in particular is interesting because it's using the toilet, the flush-o-matic. Hey Bones, is everything kind of coming through okay for you? I wasn't sure if it's actually working. I had trouble with the audio, getting it to work properly in the preview, so I'm hoping that it's okay. Um, if you can confirm that you can actually hear me and it's not echoing like crazy and stuff, then I'll go ahead and tweet out to let other people know. But yeah, it was a little hectic this morning because I actually wanted to start earlier than we did, but anyway, it's a toilet, and then it looks like a Dominion seat on top of that, and then of course the tires, and it looks like some kind of an Osun piece. Sounds okay. Okay, thank you very much, Bones. I appreciate that. I'll go ahead and put out a tweet then to let folks know that we are live. Excuse me. There we go. Appreciate it. Just a heads up too, Poi won't be here this morning, I don't think. She messaged me earlier and said that she had a headache, and I told her to not worry about showing up, that we would make do without. Yeah, it sends a little notification if I think it's if you're marked as a friend for me on Twitch. It'll say your friend such and such has started watching. And so yeah, I kind of had. I'm not like telepathic or psychic or anything like that. But here's another one. This one's a two-seater, which is kind of unusual. Usually we don't see this style built up, but it's using a Dominion bench. Um, you can see it's got some of those mines on here. And it looks like, again, one of those Osun pieces. It's not the drum, but it's the one with the little face on the side. You can see a little bit of it here. The Dominion chairs, again, for the handlebars, they're using the drill bits with giant hammers for, I don't know what you call this part, the axles or something, and then of course the tires. Another hammer for the little kickstand here. Chewa cup and hazard cone. And I think this is bookcases, two of them here, to make this little divider between the seats. Then over here we have a really more rustic one here with the skull, one of those frozen Arctera bones. It looks like the Chua tech arm, I think is what it's called, with the controller. You've got the wall-mounted generator, and that same Osun piece that you see back here, and then this time using the orange chair as the cushion. The muffler here, I think that's part of the spaceship bits. I don't know if it comes from the space chase stuff or whatever. And then, of course, the hammer for the kickstand. And then last one here is it's got the chupacabra head, mounted head as the little forefront thing. You've got the toilet again, and I think this is one of the spaceships. Again, the spaceship parts for the engine and the muffler bits to a cushion. But again, this is just a great example of the variety of, again, it kind of reminds me of the CBDCs that we used to do. You could assign, 4 different people the same objective, make a motorbike or hover bike or however you want to say it, and they will come up with completely different ideas, ways to put it together, using some similar parts, but again, you can see how different they look, and I just love that. This my favorite thing about housing, the way that it is processed here, that you can, take the same ideas but come out with different outcomes and keep it unique. Uh, Again, as I said, this is kind of a primarily Granox style plot, so but it's based on thermoc holds, so you'll see a lot of things like here's a bar. It's reminiscent of the one that's right there in the center, using some tiki bars, Draken fencing for a lot of the stonework. You're going to see a lot of the Pell tables and just regular stones for a lot of the decoration. For the buildings, you're going to see not only the Draken fencing, but also the Draken style curved walls and floors and things, because again, it's a stone type of texture on those particular items. Over here, we have a little kind of a Jeep deal. Lots of pieces into this one, just little details. Again, it's an Osun. I don't know if it's the emblem or what that it's called. Um, then you've got a second one being used as like the dashboard. I think this is the Macari. It's either the table or the chair, or maybe even a lamppost, but they're using that as like the steering wheel. Now there is the garage themed lamp that's a big favorite because it actually has a steering wheel on it. But I thought this was a clever alternative. Some use bowls or plates or just domes. I'm trying to think of some other things. I've seen a few things that are square and they've like rotated around to make it kind of look round. But yeah, this is a clever use of this particular Macari item. Then you got the Dominion scanner, the Dominion chair again, you got the generator, a couple of the exhaust fans on the back, and then some of this whole piece here with the light, and then this bracketry here, that's some kind of a fence post, I believe. Looks pretty fun. Over here we have a little, looks like a loppy house. The roof is the bowl. The walls are the tiki bars. And you can see that they're using the interior of the bars as the shelving. If you wanted to get a bit more native, you could have topped it with the hay pile uh, or a little bit more like a thatched roof type of deal. But the bowl works just as well. Gives you a nice greenery ceiling as well. That's the main house. It's actually it's a Chua structure. You can tell by the door, but they've added on to it using Draken themed parts, the fences and curved walls or cylinders. There's even you can see they've got, I don't know what this is called, it's some kind of like exile tower or something. They've tacked that on. My jumping is awful as usual. But you can see how they've just kind of capped it. This is like the part that's it comes as, and they've added all these extra little bits to really granify it up with the stones. But we'll go into that a little bit later. We're going to stick to the exterior for now. Here's another structure. Again, they're trying to keep it stone themed, so you've got the swirly rocks here and here. You've got the granite themed walls, a little bit of Draken themed. They even using to make their own extra large sign here. They've got the, I think it's the Algarock sign or mining sign, but then they've added the picnic tables to kind of enlarge it a bit. Here you have a little personal home. Again, very reminiscent of what you find in thermoc holds, so it sticks to it. And they've even managed to keep some of their uh, fab kits. There we go. It's been so long since I've talked about this stuff, the words are just kind of leaving me. Here is kind of like where the ships and stuff, visitors can come and dock and get their supplies in and out of this little place. So you got lots of little docking platforms here. Yeah, I did this yesterday because I always come like a day or so before I stream to just double check and make sure I can get to the plots. And I had no problem jumping up there yesterday, but you got a crash aircraft there, but you got a good overview of the plot itself and some of the features like this raised area over here. Here's the little town part, the different towers got going on. Some Arcterra formations. They're using the oversized Arcterra brambles for some of the woods around the area to kind of block it in a little bit, and then using snow-covered stones for the rest of it. And then dabbled with snow-covered trees and pines and things like that. I like how these little towers have the fires in them. And they're using some of the animated smoke, kind of make it look like maybe it's revving up to get ready to take off or something. Yeah, I think all of my days are bad jumping days though, Bones. Or maybe it's to represent him working on it. I'm not sure about that. Here's another crashed vehicle right into the stone there. Again, it's a fun use of fires. I think this one's actually the Falcon fire pit. You can see some of the metal bits sticking out. You could use the campfire or just some of the smoke bits if you have that. Up here we have an igloo, a combination of snow clumps and some of the snow blocks. Being haunted by a little granite here. And then again, using a lot of snow-covered stones, but some of these are the stepping stones that you get from Starcom Basin. See the town. You can see the landing docks, how that's built up with the pillars and the Draken walls and such for that little picture. I would remind that we do have maintenance incoming today, and it's supposed to be a long one. It's like, I think they said 4 hours or so. So again, if you'd rather get some playtime in, rather than watching this live, we will be uploading this later, so it's not like you'll miss out entirely. And an extra reminder about the residential renovation event. It's a monthly event. It happens each month, and I think it goes on for about a week. There's actually a couple days left for this month's, and I believe it's the Dungeon Chase collection that's up for grabs this week, or this month, I should say. That includes the Protostar shelves. I think it's the broken pillars, looks like kind of the white golden ones, the stone door, that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. If you haven't taken advantage of that, this is a good opportunity to do so. I think it goes until the 15th, which is Friday, Saturday, Friday, somewhere around there. Here's a nice little Jeep. We've seen some other heavy equipment vehicles, tanks and Jeeps and big rigs and things. And it's always fun, again, to see those. Some opt to make them more solid so that you don't actually get to enter them, but they kind of make it look like you could if it had functioning doors. And others like this one will make it so that you can actually go inside and have a seat. So this is like kind of like a personnel transport type of deal. You've got some seats for your buddies. Using maintenance platforms, some reinforced walls. You got the generator here, the wall-mounted generator. Some of those barriers. It's not the sandbag type, but the metal ones. Even got a sign. Why there's a big sign there, I'm not sure. Looks like they got into a bit of a pickle here when they run over one of those walrus-looking critters. Guess they're trying to get him out of the way now. And use of the smoke to make it look like it's running with some exhaust. And here we got, I don't know if this is supposed to be like the trash truck or just some other kind of Jeep vehicle or what, but again, it just shows you that you can say, um, uh, I want to build a vehicle, and you can make it out of just about anything. This is using a cardboard box for the body with a couple of reinforced walls, several sets of tires. You've got the propane tank, the generator, and the exhaust fan. You've got the Macari chair, framed glass for the windshield there. and then using one of the metal containers as a little bunker house. Now this here, I believe is a fab kit, this part here. I don't remember the name of it, but it's just a granite kind of like trailer house deal. And they've just managed to, include that in, which is fun. And then they built their own kind of a granite area here. Again, using the Pell table as the roofing, and then covered it with drake and fencing, a little bit of coating of some of those Artera formations to make it, blended in with the ice and snow. And then using also that matriarch cave, the Pumera cave looking thing, as part of it. I like how they're using the Draken shelf, the bench as a bed. But that was kind of, it almost looks like a hammock. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing my Santa hat, I'm trying to get into the spirit, the mood. Um, Usually I've already done a lot of decorating around the house and got most of my gifts wrapped already and stuff, but I just haven't felt motivated. It's probably just the dreariness of the weather and the pain that we've been having with the roof renovation and everything. So trying to get myself hyped. Of course, I've got the annual Christmas party with my mother-in-law's uh, ladies group tomorrow night. And I'm not very sociable, and so I have to kind of mentally prepare myself for all it's like a hen house. It's like just constant chitter chatter. And of course, it's in a different language as opposed to my natural tongue. It's in Flemish. So it's like it goes in one ear and out the other. I don't understand most of it because they talk too fast, and there's like, hundreds of them going at once, and it's just, so I'm like trying to prepare. Here's another fab kit. This is the, I think it's called the Far Trader. Yeah, Far Trader fab kit. This is where you can get those, uh, the mats, the tribal mats, the folded ones, and or the rolled ones and the flat ones, and then among other things. But again, it fits in nicely here with this whole setup. Even though it's not stone, it's snowy, so it works okay. Yeah, it's something she's very sociable when it comes to stuff like this, and so I make a point to go every year with her. I think we skipped out last year due to illness, but uh, this year I told her that I would be ready to go. So here's the bathroom. You've got waterfalls. You can see there's a few of them, not only for the spout, but for the interior of the water. If you don't want moving water or don't have to have it, you can go with glass. You could probably use one of those oversized ice cubes, even a tank. Some of the tanks I've seen being used for that. Um, uh, then they've got that same Osun piece. I really don't know what it's called that they use for the bikes as the spout here. Got the kitchen dining, I guess, here. Um, Upstairs is the bedroom and like home office. This is the kitchen. Again, keeping it pretty simple. with the stone being used as the countertop here. I like the use of this spaceship. I think they're spaceship windows, and we usually use them as doors, um, making it look like this is the pantry slash refrigerator, probably, with the bookcase. And then straight out to the backyard, where there's a little bit of a corral for the WildStar here. Again, the copper fence is not functional, but it does look nice. It fits in good with this part here. Kind of an awkward piece. I've seen other people use it, and just one of those odd pieces. Over here we have, I think this is supposed to be a little, yeah, a little outhouse. It's decking pieces, a couple of triangle pieces, and then of course the doors. And they're using, I suspect, one of the toxic waste barrels to provide the stinky smoke. And then notice that they've included some spooky eyes. And I think the base of it that gives it that dark hole look is the cellar entrance. You can kind of see the stone right there on the sides. The rest of it is just some metal edged blocks, I think, and some floors, stone floors. The lid, of course, is a plate. Archways to create the hole here. Yeah, it's kind of gross when you think about it, but I wouldn't want to clean it, that's for sure. I don't think we went in this one over here. Again, that matriarch Humera cave thing primarily, and then they've added in Draken floors and swirly rocks and things. So it's another little Granok style house. I like the little chilled bucket of drinks there. Over here we have, I think it's their version of a Frozen Falls. It looks like they tried to make the icicles to make it look like it was water that had been running down and then been frozen over. You see a little bit of running water here, but not a whole lot. Like he was saved by the frozen stuffs. Well, that's just even worse bones. Here's a little bit of a kill wildlife going on here. Walked right through that snow. Here's another view of the plot. That's the fun thing about those that build up the sides. It makes for, like up here, this would be a good place for a screenshot. Um, well, that's true. I guess that's. Let's see. One we still need to go in. Again, swirly stones, picnic tables, and such. This one comes with a makeshift bed made out of, I think it's the Draken Gate, the tribal mats, a mattress, and then 2x4s for the frame. If you're wondering about this here, that's just the side of one of the speakers. Kind of makes it look like a bulletin board this they posted up on. Okay, I think we visited all of the structures on the exterior. Now we can hit the interior of the main home. Just here. Now again, they've modified it to make it more granite-y looking. Hmm. Well, I know there's some of those like hole in the ground places. I want to say it was when we went to France one time. And, oh, I refused to use it because it was like the smell was awful. But yeah, it was just a line of like holes or something. It was just disgusting. And then they've used the stones to cover up the stairway that you would typically see there. And then again, they've modified the inside quite a bit with all of the Draken pieces to make it look stony. And here's the fireplace with the obsidian stones. You know, the Orans are focused on nature and natural formations and stuff, which the stones can go into, but I think the granite style just takes away most of the greenery. We don't see a lot of like vines and stuff. Not that they can't have a garden or whatever, but it's just not a primary feature. Their natural bit is uh, considerably different than the orange. Here's where it looks like they may craft their own stone bits. Got an asteroid here, some of the crystal formations and things. There's a little lab works. A lot of Macari, some Dominion bits. I like the little shelving here, just stuck on. Those ones that people use for like the soccer goals. Notice this part is looks like the benches again, picnic tables. Some of these carcasses look pretty disgusting. The little bedroom, little shower here. You've got bottle tops for the the controls. It looks like a hanging cable, and then a chewa cup for that part. I like the little vanity table. Again, it's the bar, and they've just got it mostly where you hidden the rest of the parts. But then they've got the metal crates, and then the pillars. Here we have a washer and dryer, I think, like a bottle bottom and the bottom of I think it's the silver keg, this part, and then a couple of airtight containers. And then upstairs we have more of like a lounge area. You've got the kitchen, bar, and then the dining. The kitchen part is mostly cover part pieces. And they got the metal crates again. metal shelves for the foods and goodies. Again, using that bookshelf and spaceship window combo for the like fridge type of thing. Why there's a piece of toast in the sink, I have no idea, but there you go. The cutting board here is, again, it's the board with the cheese on it, and they just flip it over so that you don't see the cheese. Probably the easiest way to do that. There's other things you can use, like the top of the fireworks crate and a couple other things. The backs of some of the portraits, like the sad face or the reclining woman. There's also the backs of the like mounted heads and stuff. Some of those have a nice shape. You can make a nice cutting board or tray out of those. Okay, I think that's it for this plot. Again, this was North Thermok Hold by Sharda Ruinstone. So again, this is primarily kind of what I consider a Granok theme, as that's what Thermok Hold primarily is. A lot of stone houses, stone buildings, Granoks running around, lots of beer, that kind of thing. The next place we're going to go to is Casina Violet Song, I think is how you say that. This one is a winter theme as well, but this is more Orin, I think. I think it's called Land of the Ice Orin, if I remember rightly. Oh, excuse me. I didn't get a very good night's sleep last night, so kind of still waking up. And I apologize for the long load time. I don't know if it's to do with the community introductions and stuff, but it's just like takes forever. Good morning, Poi. You feeling better? I wasn't sure if you'd make it or not. I made your excuses earlier, so I'm glad you made it though. Okay, so this is Land of the Ice Orin by Casina Violet Song. Um, Again, you can see they've raised this up. I don't know what they're using for. I think it's the upside down snowy hill just because of the white puffs. But you can see they managed to squeeze in a lot of the bushes and shrubs. There's a lot of greenery that can be placed directly on the platform itself. But when it comes to getting right up along the border there, it becomes a little trickier depending on how big the items are, where exactly you place them. So if you get a little frustrated with trying to box in the entrance or cover it up and everything, just keep at it. Just experiment. That's probably next to just planning out how you want, where everything is going to go on the plot. I think that's like the first thing you might want to tackle if you know you're wanting to kind of cover it in like this, is get that sorted out first and then go for the rest, because I've seen some that will build up their plot and then come to the entrance and can't get anything placed like they want because it just doesn't fit well, especially if they have to oversize something, then it sticks up elsewhere and then they gotta, oh, now I gotta figure that out. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But you can see how big the upside down snowy hill had to be. I think if you use the upside down massive umbrella tree, you can make it smaller, but when it's the hill, you really have to size it up to get it to come flush with that uh, platform there. I think that was the only down uh, aspect of it. But you can say they used like one of the, I don't know if it's the glacier thing or icicle thing. It's one of those, the overhang, kind of like our ice version of an overgrowth. I think that's what they're using for the cover here. A lot of snow-covered stones, as you can see. Um, Arctera formations as well. I think a lot of people that have been doing snow plots, once the Arctera stuff come out, they were like, head over heels because of just a lot of the things that the coloring is pretty out there, even the shapes. I know there was a lot of people that found clever ways of using the underside of them as well. So yeah, they've been a great addition to our landscaping possibilities. I'm glad you're feeling better, Bones. Poi, not Bones. I had a headache yesterday, so I can sympathize. Okay, so let me just, I'm not quite sure which way we want to go here. You can see they're using the Shades Eve sky, which is a little creepy. That might affect some of the coloring as well. Again, I'm one of those that I don't really play around with the sky feature too much. I've just kind of like buried myself in the drift here. Um, but if you experiment with some of them, they can drastically change how the coloring of the items look. Some things that would normally look blue end up looking more purple or something like that. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Let's go up first, I guess. We'll go up the slope. Again, these are snow-covered hills, snowy hills. Um, they're tricky to blend like this, but notice they use the stones and the ice bits to kind of cover up those rough edges. Yeah, it really makes it almost looks like toothpaste green to me. That's like, or minty. It looks like mint. And notice the color shifting here to bring out some different colors for the brambles. Even the trees look really nice and bright green. So here again is another example of kind of like a frozen falls. Got a little bit of running water here, but they're using the frozen water and I don't know what, they're not the icicles. It's like the overhang, but icy version. I don't remember what they're called. But to make it look like a frozen falls. Here's a nice overlook of the plot. You see the main house, the water feature, the main like river thing that's running through. Notice how they have the frozen water along the edges like you would expect. I got the snow machines going. Get myself stuck here. Uh, and I even like how you can, it's almost transparent. You can see right through it. Pretty, pretty freaky looking. Trying to see if I can get a little higher. Oh, I'm going to end up falling. Leave it to me to get stuck out here. And just won't let me go through, will it? Like, what is it, Mount Crumpet or something? That's what it reminds me of, this curvy shape. But you can see how they've used the formations to really build this up. The waterfall that feeds the river here. Okay, get this little part here into a little cave, little bar cave. Some illegal gambling may be going on. And again, the Arctera bones are a big fave for the winter plots. I like how he's guarding his treasure box here. And this looks like the frozen throne. I like just the placement of some of the pieces. It just looks strange. Just to get a different angle here. How they've got this all built up. Uh, yeah, the nooks and crannies are fun. Now it becomes a bit of a trick to try and find all of them. You know, one of my big things with touring these places is trying to locate all of them. But it's one of those things, if I don't hit all of it, it just gives you all the more reason to come and visit it in person. Because I'm sure there's a lot of little deals that I probably forget. But like these little individual flowers, this little twig sticking out here, little bits of crystal. This little section here, this is actually a fab kit, if I remember right. I don't remember the name. It's some kind of like snow tower fight battle thingy. But I think there's an actual deal where you can do a challenge here. Um, I could be wrong, but I think that's the way it works. It's supposed to be like a snowball fight. You can see where some of the snowballs have landed. And then they added in their own igloo here. Now we saw an igloo from the last plot where they used the snow clumps for the roof. Well, this one they just used the snow blocks for all the entire bit. Added in some of those Arctera formations to really jazz it up. So it's like a little bar here. Again, just snow blocks for most of this, including the stairs that leads up to the next part. You got a lot of Winterfest items like the tree and the fencing and the gate outside, the fireplace. The table here is again snow blocks with just a rug on top. Same way with the chair here, snow blocks, and then it's got the cushions set in there. We've seen several examples of folks making houses that are, you know, pretty much snow filled with furniture made out of the snow blocks. But that doesn't mean it's restricted to just winter type themes. We've seen summer, like beach houses and stuff, using the same blocks and making it look like white leather cushion couches and chairs and things. So uh, it's not a have to be stuck to a particular theme when using certain pieces. We've seen desert plants being used in winter plots and they look just fine. Now, it might be a little bit more outstanding if you have a desert plot with suddenly snow-covered trees, but I'm sure somebody could get away with it. So here's part of that river element. And you can see how they've tried to make it look like it just continues on. Got the boat full of holiday gifts. The little dock here is just boardwalk pieces. And then that same Far Trader fab kit, same one that they used in the plot previous, but just set up a little differently. So this looks like it's part of this little river trading kind of setup where they have the vendor here, and then maybe somebody comes and buys all their goodies and then goes off to some other area. Notice the bridge here. This is, I want to say it's those glacier pieces. It's like for one section, it's two pieces, and they've just, it's almost like teeth, but not quite. That's what it reminds me of anyway. And then, of course, the Artera formation over top. Notice how they dressed up the little snow lop here with bows. We've seen others using the hats and things like that. And here, again, in the middle of a winter plot, they've got the Sandy Primera matriarch little fab kit here. Again, if you've not seen this one before, it's the one where you can do a daily um, of taking care of the little kittens here. And if you do that regularly, at the end, you'll get a little Primera pet for your own. See how he jumped back? That's kind of funny. Across the river here, you've got some of those, what is it, Greenock or whatever it's called? Smaller. Like almost like a little cave for them. Come have a little secret meeting. Now I'm sure a lot of folks are going, what about the gingerbread? This is a really fun idea usage of these pieces. Oh, that was kind of creepy. Having the gingerbread house pieces. There's the walls, of course, and you can see the roofing clearly. They've got the candy cane trim for the top of the roof, the gumdrop strips for the sides, plentiful use of the little icicle overgrowth bits along the edges, oversized skull candies for decorations on the outside, but also using those metal dividers for the windows. It doesn't give off light, but it looks lit up, so that really helps into that idea of it being in use. Looks good enough to eat. And I think they just use whatever pieces they happen to have, you know, this little window here, the candy window. But this actually covers the hot springs fab kit. So they've added some things, the waterfalls here, and obviously the whole exterior structure of the building, the little platform here, chairs, the benches, all of that. So over here you have these little, what I assume to be like massage tables, um, made out of just medical tables with the tribal mats on top. Remember, the medical tables, there are actually two versions on the housing vendor. Make sure you choose the cheaper option. Notice that they kind of jazzed this portrait up a little bit by laying multiples of the triangle piece on top of each other just to give it a little accent there. Same way with the little railing here. It's the same piece, the staircase landing. They just rotated it and made it into a nice little decorative motif. Got 2x4s along the top, I think. And of course the Greenock looking holiday lights there. The little lounger, a couple of hover part pieces, a color shifted dome piece, and then stuffed with pillows. Now, if you just get irked by the pillow tassels sticking out, the easiest way to fix that, other than resizing the pillows, is just to thicken this up by putting multiple layers in. Just put another dome a little bit bigger and it'll hide that for you. It'll keep the shape and the size of the opening, but it just thickens up the edge. And then notice this. They made this look different. It's probably better if I face away. You can see it a little easier without it lighting up. It's just multiple benches layered in, and it gives a little different look. And then here, I believe it's the changing rooms. But I really like this part here. That's probably my favorite bit of this thing. And this too, I like that as well. But this could work in so many different places, not just in this little sauna house or whatever you want to call it. Notice these little bits here. That's just the thorny logs. I don't know if they had intended to add in railing, additional railing like they did here with the lights, and just ran out of space. I suspect that's probably the case, just by the look of it. But or maybe it's just incomplete. That could be a possibility. But they wanted to give access to the balcony here. And they've added in a little faux door here using the ornate chest. But it also gives opportunity for some screenshots off of the house. You see the igloo top, how they've had to mash it all together to get it a nice smooth round there. And then off to the interior. Now, if I remember right, there's not a whole lot here. You've got the faux doors with the little male and female signs for the bathrooms. Those are just made using the neon signs, and they just sunk it in so you only see parts of it. And just like here's the triangle piece, this is the same piece here, just used twice, and then they've tilted it just enough so that that one pointy end doesn't show, and it makes the little like skirt dress kind of shape. And then the legs are actually the tentacles of that octopus on the one beer sign. And then here they've cleverly separated up stairs a little bit to make it a 2-level. Got the upstairs here, bathroom. Now you can't actually go inside it because they've made it look like the glass door. You would open it. It's just framed glass with the pillar being used not only as the handle but as the towel hanger as well. Over here you've got a bowl, and I think it's the propane tank for the controller here. This is a combination of the end of a pillar, the Hugel portrait, and then I think it's the end cap pipe. It's the thing you can get from the Halavar Point daily. If you're that high and into that area, you get different chance at different types of pipes, like the L shape, the vertical, the sewage pipe. There's like multiples of those where there's actual sewage coming out with a little bit of smoke. But then there's the end cap. A lot of people like to use it for table tops, chimneys, things like that, and they're using it as the spout for the shower. The toilet, which is like a running joke for us, is a airtight container, Dominion chair, and a magnetized container for the back. I always liked these chairs for like beauty parlors, barbershop. The cabinet here is really nice. Again, they're having fun with the color shifting. You can see that throughout, like turning the bathroom sink pink. This is just an empty bar, and then they've added in the lighting and the mirror. It's actually a window. Some Cassian floors, Exile floors, and then metal-edged wood blocks for the drawers and cabinet doors. For the handles, it's the vintage beer mugs, the big fave, and then bottle tops for the handles on the little drawers. They even have a little pink trash can there, waste bucket, want to say it. Let me come into the bedroom. The bunk beds. I remember doing a bunk bed challenge way, way, way back when. Another nice version. Even got the railings for the upper one so they don't fall out. Just a ladder, 2x4s, the fur rugs, mattresses, and then throw on some pillows. Notice they went through the trouble of adding the little brackets here as well. A lot of people forget those. Not a required detail, it's just that extra little bit that somebody went. It's fireplace. Here's that exile fireplace that, again, a good many like to cover up. Mostly due to the color. It's kind of gaudy, bright blue, doesn't necessarily match other decor. Of course, now that we have the color shifting, that doesn't pose as big a problem as it did before, because you could just shift it to some other color. But I think most still opt to just build over top of it to just make it their own. So you've got some Oran walls, exile walls, granite pillars. I'm not sure what this texture here is. It looks familiar, but I'm not even going to try and name it. But they've jazzed up the mounted Chumbacomber head, which is the cross scimitars or swords or whatever those are. Got the stockings there. Color shifted the table here. That's usually, I think it's yellow with the blue. butterfly motif in there. Same way with the orange chairs, they've turned that pink and put 3 of them together to make this little oversized, like a love seat. Feel a sneeze coming on. Oh, it burns. Little cupboard here. I don't know if this is meant to be like a clothing closet or what, but it doesn't look too like Harry Potter like. I like the stairs again. A lot of people just put in the stairs and don't think about covering the backside, but that kind of helps make it look a little more solid and hides any uh, untidy stuffs underneath. Again, it's one of those things that's not required, but I like those extra touches. And of course, the railing is the decking railing with those ornate pillars as decoration for that. This is the laundry room. Got the washer and dryer, just some control panels, Oran floors. This here is, I think it's one of those tanks, propane tank or something. Then you've got the upstairs bathroom, a little bit more, excuse me, elaborate. This almost looks like cushion, like leather to me, but it could pass as like bathroom tiles, but it's just multiples of the granite style floors there. Decking pieces for some of these shelves, and then lots of metal edged blocks for the drawers and cabinet doors here. Bottle or wine bottle tops for all of the handles. Again, similar toilet from before. Similar setup for the shower, just some things change. I mean, they still have the end cap, but this time they've got that, I call it a pillow, but it's supposed to be a shield, I think. And then 2 controllers rather than the single one from the previous. The door positioned a little differently. Instead of off to the side, they got it in the center. And then they've added a tub. Again, I believe it's just a waterfall. I think they've color shifted it in addition to the other features here. Some of it is hover part pieces, some of it's archways, and then like the Oran wall here. The faucets for this one, I believe it's an end cap with a cylinder, and then the 2 little nozzle bits, I think that's just the garden hose, just the very ends of it showing. Here we have a little kitchen. Again, hover part pieces for a lot of the cabinetry. This looks like a little, like a pudding or jello thing. Just the top of a mushroom. The bottom of the stem of it is just hidden because of the thickness of those shelves there. The microwave is actually the Oran cuckoo clock, and then they've stuck on the, oh, what do you call it? Tablet computer, and then it looks like a hammer for the handle there. Using a Dominion generator as the fridge. And then I like how they've built up the sink and this oven countertop area. The sink has been boxed in with 2x4s and such. Just kind of dress it up a little differently. These here are the, I think it's the fancy Dominion dressers, ends of those with the Dominion shelves as like the handles. Then they've got staircase landings for that. The same dresser that they're using for the oven bits, they're also using as the toaster here. and then making good use of those gingerbread cookies that you can get. I like their own little cocktail here. It's just a glass with the candy cane and the candy skull stuck on it, like a little fancy drink. Recoloring of the wine glass as well. Another bedroom. There's a little gaming console using the control panels. That same generator they're using for the fridge, they're using it as the gaming device there. Notice the little pot. It's a chew cup with one of the bowls. Give that little greenery in the bottom, and then just a little, I mean, you could put any plant there. But I think the big thing is that the greenery. Trying to catch all these little interesting details, like the faux door here. Again, that's that cabinet, but then they trimmed it in wood, tacked on that vintage beer mug for the handle, put a do not enter sign there. There's a little dining room. And then another bedroom. They managed to get a lot of rooms divvied up considering the space that they have allotted to them. Okay, let's go to this part here. This is actually the balcony area of the main room when you first come into the house. See the rest of it downstairs. Here's the door here where you come in and out. So they've got their holiday tree up using the sporty spheres as some of the ornaments along with the traditional lights. There's a lot of different ways now that we have multiple string types of these lights. It makes it a little easier. Before we just had the one version, and I showed in past videos how I've used them to decorate my trees. But this is a really good example. But I like the tree skirt. It's actually one of the round rugs, and then they've layered on the straight rugs along the side, make it a nice tree skirt there. And then another additional round rug along the bottom. And then just piled on plushies and a lot of the Winterfest gift. Color shifting some of it, like the pink WildStar plushie. Then you've got the feast table. It's two metal tables and then topped with, I think it's the tree portrait or one of the others, but it's got that really nice wood texture on the back. A lot of people like to use it for walls and cabinetry and such. I think it's two of those sandwiched together to make the table itself. Then you have, of course, the platter, the pig platter that comes as is, but they made their own chicken platter on the other end, which is, let me see if I can get a good angle here. It looks like, I don't know if it's just several plates sandwiched together, the metal plates, and to kind of extend it into more of an oval shape, and then trimmed in greenery like shrubs or some kind of overgrowth to give it a little bit of like vegetable trimming, and then they color shifted the chicken, I think, to try and make it look a little bit more roasted rather than that bright raw pink. Hey, Avalast, glad you can make it. And then the centerpiece, of course, is the dessert, which is looks like a Tetris kind of cake. It's just color shifted snow blocks built up. I like the candle holders. Those are the goblets. It's actually the drinking goblets, and they're being used as the base for the candles. Just little things like that can, really jazz up a setting. I mean, you can use the actual candelabras like the ones we saw earlier, but yeah, I like how they do that. Here's their version of mistletoe, I think. It's just one of the little bushes with sporty spheres thrown on, in case you missed that. If you're kind of zoomed out, you might not see the spheres, but I saw it as I was passing through. And can't forget the tree topper there. It's a skull. I don't know if that's supposed to be a crown or what, but got something on the top of his head there. Okay, back down, we'll take a last look at the main room. Stuck in the door if I'm not careful. You of course have the traditional fireplace. They built it up a little bit by adding wall trimmings here. Just get it raised up a little bit. And of course the round part with the cylinder there. They've got the charming bars, the rotating bar for the, what is it, Red Moon. Lots of different stools. They got the little gingerbread thing here. They've turned the plates and the cutlery into, I think it's a clock, or it could be supposedly the entrance to the kitchen. It's one of the two. Now it says open door, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't lead anywhere. Yeah, I think it's just I think the door is actually functional, but it's off to the wall there. And then of course you got the stage, the microphone and everything. Some more gifts. But probably the main thing you want to take notice is this cute little piano. Now, if I zoom in real close, you'll see that it is a Flower original. Flower is well known on NA for their piano creations. They've done electric type, church organ type, traditional grand pianos and everything. Some that are specifically themed like Soul Frost style and just plain old wood. This one's more of a Candyland version. So they're making use of a lot of the Winterfest and type of deals. As far as I know, Avalast, I haven't really been playing too much myself for various reasons. So, and I'm not really on NA side. I'm Jabbit EU. I just happen to come over to Entity frequently to visit plots, and we often see Flowers work. In fact, I've got it slated at some point we'll visit their piano gallery where they have a whole bunch of examples in one place. But so yeah, the bench is just 2x4s, pink pillows, and then those ornate pillows. You can see the petals down here is of course the Hugel portrait with this cutlery handles, I think it is. Yeah, uh, like I said, I haven't. I don't really socialize too much with NA players in game per se. And last I heard that they were still around making pianos and doing artwork and stuff, along with a few others like Ayuni and such. But yeah, using the I forget what this icing trim, the little top here. The flower name itself, I believe, is books. Same way with the keys, it's just different colors like yellow books and blue books to differentiate between the types of keys. And then using the icing windows for a little decoration there. This one is kind of like, I don't know if this is supposed to be like one of those pianos where you like turn it on and it plays itself, and depending on the music here, it plays differently. But you can see they've got levers here. Um, Set it up to make it look like a sliding door, and then that the round tubey thing that, I don't know what you call it, little round tubey thing. That's what I'm gonna call it. It's just some cylinders and then tulip cups here for the little handles on the sliding door part. The pianola, is that what it's called? I don't know. I don't know what it's called. I think it's one of those that it's meant to play by itself, isn't it? And like it has like little nodes on it and like a little thing that triggers each key or something. Yeah, Music Scroll, that's what it is. Thank you, Poi. But the majority is 2x4s, and you can see how many pieces. I think uh, when I got a piano from them, I think they mentioned that the majority of theirs are like in the hundreds for pieces. So it's not a practical type of custom build, but if you're desperate for a piano and really want to go for it, this is definitely something to be inspired by. Yeah, a pianola. Okay. Well, you learn something new every day. Yeah, I thought this was pretty cute. And it works well for this little setup here, being like a public facility where they can come and enjoy some holiday times with friends and family. So I think that's it for Land of the Ice Orin. Again, if you get a chance to visit these places in person, I strongly recommend it. Video and screenshots and such just do not do these places justice. And of course, there's probably details that I miss unintentionally, of course, but that's what happens when there's so much to look at. There's a lot of plots that I will visit multiple times and see new things. Not necessarily because maybe the builder added them later, but just because there's just so many little details that you can easily overlook. Like that mistletoe. I'm sure there's a lot of people that visit the house and never even notice that it's there. But yeah, so that is Land of the Ice Orin by Casina Violet Song. Now, the last place we're going to go to isn't necessarily a winter plot or Winterfest plot, but I think you'll understand why I wanted to go ahead and visit it. I thought it was suitable for this time of year. And again, it's going to be a minute because it takes a while for the loading screen to pass on. I'll take that opportunity to wet my whistle. Okay, this is Candyland by Candy Hall. Um, I don't know what this is actually meant to be other than what it says, Candyland, Candy Hall. But it is, there's a lot of custom work here. I think folks that are wanting to do a kind of a wintry slash holiday slash whimsical type of theme will get a lot of inspiration from this plot because they really kind of uh, approach it differently than some of the other places we visited in the past. You can see that they managed to put, I'm not even sure what this item is, straight up onto it. It's either the bottom of uh, a lamppost or something, because I think I was able to use one of the Shades Eve lampposts for one of my plots, and it's kind of this color. But I think the texture is different, so I don't think it's the exact same item. But again, with items trying to figure out which ones will cover the platform like this, it just comes down to a lot of experimentation. As well, it could be a familiar item that they've color shifted to make it look different, and I just don't recognize it. It could be any number of things. But I really want to point out how they've used the snow blocks as this kind of archway column decoration kind of thing. They've got it not just at the entrance here, but you'll see them. It's like a winter garden kind of thing, and I really love how they've used. It's a simple design, but it's played throughout the plot, so it helps it tie it all in together. Also, pay attention to their use of the color shifting for the different bushes. They've chosen some what you wouldn't expect as a winter type coloring. There's a lot of oranges and purples, even this almost black and white kind of look. But the way they've put it together, it just seems to fit. It's candy-ish, you know, it's like cotton candy almost. The different pastel-y colors that they've managed to pull out of these bushes. Um, these could easily work for like a fall theme for these particular ones. These could work in just a regular jungle forest kind of scene. But here they've just mixed them all together, and it looks beautiful to me. I love the colors. They're soft, um, candy like cotton candy, and it just I think it's a really nice job. As well, you can see they've used the uh, snowy hills. These are the ones that replicate the ground beneath them when you flip them over. Uh, the cheap version, the poor man's version of the upside down massive umbrella tree. So you can get these direct off of the vendor for, I think it's like 50 silver. Super cheap, great for those that want to add elevation to their plots. Now, it looks to me like for this particular spot here, they're actually using one of the insta-hills. You can almost see the edge right here. You have to be careful when you're using these. You have to take them down just a little bit to hide that trim that actually comes with the insta-hills. Um, yeah, I think this is what they're using for this part here. Um, but since it is Candyland, they do use a lot of the gingerbread accessories, like the gumdrop trim here. You can see the frosting trim here, the candy trim, the peppermint candy cane bits here. Color shifting for the kind of tiered entranceway here. We've got some pillars, and it's multiple pillars just rotated off of each other to make these columns. This I think is using 3 pillars. If you can also get away with using just 2, and it's just a little bit different looking kind of a column. Both works. We've seen this in a lot of like churches, like cathedral type builds, universities, uh, coliseums, that kind of thing, quite a bit. Lots of layered glass to get different kinds of shading. Again, remember the more layers, the brighter, the more frosted the panels look. So you'll have like non-frosted, and then when it's doubled over, it becomes frosted, and that just adds to the design. We have people making like rose shapes and heart shapes and suns and all kinds of things, just being able to overlap that. Hey, Jamstar, glad you could join. We're on the last house today, but hope you guys like it. Let's see, what else do we got here? We've got multiples of the um, archways. Now this one actually has most of them spaced out to kind of add to that tunnel effect, but you can see how they've sized them down to fit around the door. It's some will use it where they're just flat up against each other, and it makes just an extra design. You can see that mostly here where they've layered them up, but it really kind of Gives extra pronouncement to the entranceway here. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory. This here, I think that's a sparking wire. The sparking part being down in the ground, and they've just got the one part, because I'm pretty sure, yes, I can pass right through it. That's the only thing weird about the sparking wires. Same way with the hanging chain. No matter how big they are, you pass right through them. They're kind of fun in a way. You can make beaded curtains out of the hanging chain, and this one you can make like escapable prison bars, but it's still kind of odd. Off into the interior. Get a little closer look at the windows here and see the materials they use. It's 2x4s, and notice how they've slanted them. The layered glass for the little pattern. Here they've actually signed it. I don't know what this stands for. SC, it could be guild initials, a player's initials, something else. I have no idea, but it's with books. Those are a pretty good item to write with. You can see I can back off quite a ways, and they don't disappear until you get quite far, which is good. Not all books are the same. We've seen that like with the snow pieces. I've tried to use those, the snow blocks for lettering, and like you can have them all at the same uh, size, but half of them will show up and half of them won't. It could be Santa Claus, boy. That's right. It could be that. But let's just say that's just what it is. I wouldn't say it is, no, silly. But the best way to find out is just come and play. There's quite a bit still going on. In fact, I think we're just entering into the Winterfest stuff pretty soon, if not already. Let's see, the floor. Want to pay attention to the floor. If you're looking for a way to decorate, just to change up the design, you can see basically it's um, large pieces of Oran floors for the main part, and then they've overlapped it with a Draken style, and then they've done it in a specific pattern to just kind of jazz it up a little bit differently than the rest of the floor. Now there is a bunker house here. I think it's on this side. So yeah, you can actually access it if you stand in just the right place. If you ever have trouble finding it on a plot, just kind of, look for it on the map. You should be around the center part if the plot actually has a bunker house. You can go inside, but there's not anything in this particular one. They focused on the exterior. So as we go, excuse me, I got the hiccups and burpees or something. You can see that they've added additional floor markings using triangle pieces in a nice little round pattern. Then we've got benches here. Now notice the benches have been dressed up a little bit. It's actually two benches stuck together, if I'm not mistaken. So like these are the legs of the one. So it's like it's tilted and turned into the back for the other one, which I thought is real clever. Others will just add on 2x4s and block ends for the handles. But this is an efficient way of doing it. It's just two pieces rather than 4, 5, or 6. You've got the icing windows again here. This is, I think it's the licorice trim. And then 2x4s and pillars for the stairs here. You've got lots of the medical tables for this little, I don't know what this is, a panel type of thing. I don't know if this is meant to be like a townhouse kind of thing, Or maybe this is where Santa Claus comes and talks to his little elf workers. I don't know. Great for some kind of like a holiday pageant for the judges panel here or something. Here we have a nice round table. This is a perfect example of a good use of the layered glass. You can see there's like multiple windows here, and they've been layered up so heavily that it looks almost white. Um, they've got curved glass for the base and then inserted one of those buoyant blue crystals. This is the one that a lot of people like to use for their animation in like a spooky forest or like a will-o-wisp kind of effect. They'll just hide the crystal and you got the sparklies. But look at that. That's just insane. I would almost guarantee that they're using the KBT add-on, Katya's Builder Toolkit, to get this so perfectly aligned. It's possible to do it freehand as well, just by using the coordinates properly, but probably the quickest way is using KBT. But yeah, it's a beautiful example. So it's a nice little round table kind of thing. Here we have a little 3D portrait. I call it like a shadow box kind of thing. Got the stones, a little bench here. So it's supposed to look like a park. I don't see that it's signed by anybody, but we all know we love the paintings. Probably the only annoying thing is maybe the tree sticking out. I probably would have opted to make it a little smaller or make the frame a little bigger just to fix that. But again, using the trees in like a little still life painting kind of thing, it's a little weird because they move. But if you can kind of get past that, same way with the candle being moving, animated, can throw it off a little bit, but not that bad. Here's a little table, just curved walls. It could be cylinder as well if you want it. And they've got that brown table sunk in there. It's the one with the really long legs, one of my least favorite tables, but a lot of people use it these days. And then the pool table. We've seen many versions of this. Um, this is a nice looking one. It's just metal edge 2x4s, a couple of maintenance platforms, the bottoms of them. The pockets are glasses. Then you've got the little rack 2x4s with the balls being the bottoms of the tall files. They're also using the tall files on the ends of these fuse sticks, which are sparking wires. Yeah, that's a good reminder, Jam. I think I mentioned that earlier. I think it goes until Friday for this month. All right, Bones, you have a good day. Thank you for dropping by. Maybe we'll see you next week. I don't know yet. Again, that's going to be kind of up in the air. I'll talk about that a little bit more later before we log out. Over here is the bar. Now look at the benches. This would be great for like a, I don't know why it reminds me of Game of Thrones. I guess this kind of looks like throny kind of stools or chairs. But I think these are just 2x4s, just angled slightly to give it a little bit of extra. And then the stools that have been overlapped with metal edge blocks. They're matching the table legs, which are also metal edged blocks with the layered or the framed glass. But if you want a little bit more ornate, I imagine you could use the trellis as a back because it has those three pieces of wood as well, but it also has the vines. If you want to get a little bit more naturey theme going on, but I thought this was really cute. Again, notice the use of the layered glass to get different designs here. And remember, the renovation thing event happens every month, and it lasts for a week, and they rotate the prizes out. I think this month's is Dungeon Chase, which includes like the stone door and I think it's a broken pillar, among other things. There's quite a few deals. Over here we've got a little library section. This again is an example where they have the same bookcase, and then they've just chosen to cap it here and there with 2x4s to kind of clean it up a little bit, make it look more like a complete unit rather than multiples just kind of stuck together. The tables, of course, are just the Dominion conference tables. Over here we have a little cabinet made out of the medical tables, staircase landings, 2x4s, and bottle tops for the drawer handles. Same way with this little, I don't know, pedestal thing. It's a cover part piece with staircase landings. I personally haven't even done the renovation thing because, like I said, I haven't really had a chance to play several months now. Most of it's due to just real life getting in the way, illnesses, and just it seems like everything just tries to get in my way. But eventually, yeah, I haven't touched housing. I'm probably going to be like such a rusty noob if I get back into it again because I'm not going to remember how to work the controls and whatnot. I'll have to go back through some of my old demos just to try and get a feel for it again. Here's those benches again, though. See it a little better. But it's two benches together. It's just one is tilted on its side to make the back for the other one. I thought that was pretty clever. Here's like the little outside park area. Again, notice the archways again are being replicated as it is in the front. And notice they're not even using the entire plot. There is some empty area, but that's okay. And if they had chosen, they could have probably done some oversized brambles or bushes to hide all of this, but they just chose not to. There's a lot of detail in the building itself, so it's not surprising that they opted not to mess with that or not to bother with it. Maybe they have plans to expand at a later time as well. It's always a possibility. Notice the staircases here. Those are just pillars, and they've used them to make these grand staircases. But don't neglect to look at the chandelier here if I can get a good camera view. It's unframed glass that's been layered over. It's the same concept as that glass table over here. It's just unframed, and it just makes it a little bit more like delicate crystal. I hope that's the case, Dan. I thought about it this past week because I've got a few ideas in my head of some things that I'd like to try, but I'm kind of nervous about it. So, fingers crossed I'll find some time to get into it again, but uh, I'm not sure if I'll be streaming it. I'll be like too chicken. I'll have to wait and see and get back into it before I feel comfortable again showing people messing up because I already mess up anyway. And this is an example of if you're at a distance, you might not even notice. All we see is like the Orin window and then like something here. But it's not until you get a little closer that you realize there's actually a drawing kind of thing here. Again, it's using those books. And Again, I have no idea. It looks like a cowboy guy with a lollipop, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe, uh, maybe it's a priest in his robes or something. Or I'm not. I have no idea what that is. It looks like a cowboy hat to me. I don't know if that's supposed to be a lollipop or a mirror with some weird symbol in it or what, but it's just an Orin window. It looks like some of those file bottoms again, and then the 2x4 with, again, all the books for this little design. Um, and this is probably another fave use of the sandbags, using them as cushions for furniture. This is a prime example of some nice sectionals, metal edged 2x4s, and then having those sandbags dumped in as plush looking leather couch cushions. Um, the table here is just two tree tables on the end, a tree table in the middle that's flipped over, and then pillars for the tabletop. The sides are kind of turned in a little bit. You could easily size these down to make little single chairs, um, or short couches, or like a bench or something. Here's a round version, and again, it's a round table like the one below, but again, it's similar to the chandelier. It's using the unframed glass with a cylinder as a solid cylinder as the center base. The couch here is hover part pieces with two pillows as the trim, the cushiony trim. The little balcony here, again, be aware that the chains have no collision, but if you space it just right, you can't go through if you have these spaced just so. You can see how I was able to pass through it once, and then now I'm stuck. But it's Merg dynamite for the railing banisters, or whatever you call them. Another wall decoration using the Merg dynamite. I'm not sure what they're using for the very center of it. And then a cabinet similar to what they have downstairs. And then another kind of, this is like a meeting room where they got all the little panels and such. Notice the chandelier up here. It's files attached to a orange sconce, and then attached to the ceiling with a chain. Bulletin board is just I think it's a travel poster. They just got the paper stuck on. Here's a little personal office. First, they got this little, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a painting or just a kind of a, like a rock garden kind of arrangement or what. But most notable is probably the little wall piece here. Again, layered framed glass using one of the gift bags, kind of like an emblem, WildStar emblem. Here you have a little display case for the crystal. just some domes, curved glass. But my favorite parts in this particular room are the chair and the bench here. It's Chua pillows, then you've got the yellow and blue striped pillows, metal edge 2x4s, and then pillars to make that back with rolled sleeping bags for the armrests. And the chair is set up the same way, it's just sized down. Looks like they're actually using a stool to make it functional as an actual seat. Sometimes you'll set an actual functioning seat inside something and it'll make it look like you're actually using the seat that you made. And other times it's not usable like that. Like I can use that chair, but it won't let me use the stool that's underneath here. And other times it will. I think it's just, I don't know, what do you call it, persnickety, that which ones it'll let you use and not. Is that even a word, persnickety? Here's a lovely clock decoration. It's the actual Orin clock, but they've jazzed it up a little bit with an Orin window, a 2x4, and then some archways. It makes it look like a giant flower to me. Here we have another kind of like dining room kitchen area with a fireplace. Again, it's that exile fireplace that everybody likes to cover up. We saw how they covered it up in the other one, and this one's just same idea, just done differently. 2x4s up here, a little bit of orany touch, and then Draken style pillars and floors for the rest. You can see a little bit of that blue just there. The table and chair benches type things, it's just a regular bench with the green pillows along the edge. Cylinder and framed glass for the table. This is, I forget what it's called, it's just a regular standard oven stove type thing. And then they've covered it with staircase landings, Cassian floors. And in the front to make the oven, it looks like a staircase, not a staircase, I mean a maintenance platform, then put on a framed piece of glass, possibly a couple of them just to kind of get that frosted corners to show up a little bit better, and then hammers for the handle. And then here is pretty much the same concept, 2x4s, staircase landings, Cassian floors, hammers for all the handles. And then for the fridge, it's the graded floor panels for the top and bottom, Draken pillars for the sides, hammers for the handles, and then glass for all of the shelving. For some, they like to add like icicles or ice blocks, or even some of that white smoke stuff, like from the blue flare, or they'll throw in like the holograph where it has that glowy effect, like the back side of the hovering medical cot and stuff, to kind of give it a more frozen or cold atmosphere kind of thing going on. But you can see you can get away with not using that and still have it recognized as a refrigerated area. And then you can see that this pretty much mirrors the other side with the seating arrangements, the table settings. Great place for like a guild meeting, office meeting, anything like that. So I think that's it for this place. A lot of fun little, you know, custom bits from the furniture to the floor decorations to how they did their stairs, the windows. There's just so many little details um, that you could utilize in different settings, whether it be a personal residence, an office place, some type of business, a library, a church. There's so many uses for the ideas that you could find here. And that's what I hope you guys take away from all of these places that we visit, that, yeah, well, they've set it into this particular theme and this scenario. It doesn't mean it is restricted to that alone. Um, and just being able to see how people put buildings together, how they arrange their staircases, where they put their doors, how they decide, okay, I'm going to put an actual functioning door here, or am I going to just leave it as an open doorway kind of thing. Personally, I like the open doorways because there are times when the doors themselves don't function like you would expect. So it makes it tough if you're trying to visit a place and you can't get in the doors. But yeah, just a really fun, cute little place. Again, it's not particularly winters focused, but it has that kind of touch to it. So I thought it was suitable for today's visits. So, okay, that's it for today, guys.